Hi Shammass, nice having you here. Just for the start, if you could just introduce yourself. What do you do at Busch PROtective? What is your professional background? This would be really, really cool.
Firstly, thank you very much for having me. At Busch PROtective, I'm the Ballistic Tactical Manager for helmets. My background is British military. I spent a significant period of time with the British military, overseas on operations as well, wearing helmets, so therefore I can give you an insight into
Both
military
worlds.
helmets.
For today's topic, what are the differences between like military helmets and helmets for law enforcement? And I had a question for you straight away. What are the characteristics of a military helmet? How would you describe what is the military helmet?
So military helmets are predominantly made to protect you against fragmentation, because that is mainly the threat. Over the last decade or a little bit longer, IEDs was the main threat, improvised explosive devices. Therefore, the helmets need to offer a good level of protection for fragmentation. They need to be lightweight and comfortable because you're wearing them for long periods of time. And to have a helmet that's going to be lightweight and comfortable, most of the helmets are made from PE, so therefore polyethylene.
Okay, so like it sounds that it's a very good helmet and you could just use it in a scenario for law enforcement.
You could use the helmet for law enforcement or complex ops, such as counter-terror ops. However, for that role, you need to look at what the threat is for counter-terror operations. So there's a difference between the military threat and the law enforcement threat. The law enforcement threat then is being shot in close proximity from an unknown enemy, especially when you're doing room clearance. So you could be shot anywhere on that helmet, and realistically, you're not even wearing the helmets for a real long period of time. So therefore, a little bit of weight does not really matter. And having something that's modular and scalable, it's the ideal way.
Okay, so adapting a military helmet for scenarios of law enforcement is most probably possible, but it's not maybe the best way of approaching the topic. Well,
any sort of protection afforded to you is good, because you've got a helmet and it's giving you some sort of protection. But if you can have a helmet that replicates the threat, so this day and age you have skiing helmets that are predominantly tested towards what could happen on a skiing accident, motorcycle helmets, motorcycle accidents, biking, etc., etc. So if you've got a helmet that's designed for military application and you've got a helmet that's actually designed for law enforcement or counter-terror operations, close quarter combat, then I would prefer the helmet that actually meets the criteria and is threat tested.
Okay, so if you were to choose a helmet, what would be the criteria? What would you pay attention to?
The first thing I would look at is what is the role? When am I going to be using that helmet? Is it predominantly close quarter combat operations? If that is the threat, then I need to look at actually what standards are out there that replicate that threat. And most helmets are NIJ 3-year certified. That's the sort of name that's thrown around. But there's helmets that are VPAM HVN level 3 certified, and also the FBI DEA Ballistic Research Facility Protocol certified. These two standards actually replicate the threat of what could happen in a close quarter combat scenario. And alluding to what I mentioned earlier, being shot at random locations, being shot at the helmet edge, shooting of the bolts, multi-impact, and actually how much energy is going to be transferred to the skull. So protection and threat testing is actually quite key when you're looking for what helmet suits you.
So like one point would be standards and the threats. No? What else would you just like look at?
For me, as in comfort is a key component, because when I'm wearing a helmet, I want to make sure that it's comfortable. I can focus on the task at hand. So comfort is a key component. Another thing that I would be looking at would be the weight. The weight's always an important factor for everywhere you go. People are talking about weight, less weight, more performance. However, you got to balance it out with actually what sort of a level of protection is being afforded to me when I'm wearing that helmet. So if it's a really lightweight helmet and it has a high level of fragmentation protection, is that really the right tool for the right job? So for me, as in close quarter combat, counter-terror ops, a helmet that is relatively light, but actually it's threat tested is more important. So that could be the difference between a protein bar, 200 grams. But for me, that's an important factor. I want to be protected and try and mitigate that threat.
So we have standards, we have comfort, we have weight. Is there anything else you would look at too?
Modularity. So having the ability to scale up the helmet or scale down the helmet is a key component. So if I'm going into a scenario where I think, hold on a minute, I don't know what the threat is, can I increase my level of protection? Yes, my head is protected according to the threat. Now, can I protect my face? Because from a frontal perspective, my forehead's protected, but actually my face isn't. So therefore, can I put a ballistic visor on there? Can I put a fragmentation visor on there? Can I take it off quite quickly? Can I increase the level of protection on the helmet itself? So the modularity and scalability to up-armor your helmet is a key component. If you have that, that's great. If you haven't got that, then you're going to be limited.
Okay, it seems that we covered the most important points. Like if we talk about military helmets, what are the specifics of it? What are the specifics or characteristics of a law enforcement helmet? Thank you very much for your expertise, for sharing it with us. If you want to know how Busch PROtective is finding solution for the 4 points we were discussing today, so modularity, comfort, weight, and protection level, just click on one of the links in the description. And remember, protect what matters.